I pay respect to the First Nation elders and peoples of the Torres Strait and Northern Queensland. Warning: one photo contains an image which is of a living and possibly deceased First Nations person. Welcome, my name is Grant Spork and this proposal is for a North Queensland and Torres Strait Islander aquaculture cooperative, a production of native species of seafood for export to Asia and the Pacific in a sustainable and holistic way, building skills with state-of-the-art aquaculture in an area which is subject to native title. The proposal is for a vertically integrated hatchery with research and development capacity, ponds and processing facility, which in stage 1 could see up to 4,000 tonnes per year sent to national and international markets, with a distribution facility in Cairns for the fresh and live seafood market into the Asian Pacific area. Development facility with grow-out ponds and a processing plant with a solar farm and batteries, capable of powering and storing electricity to run the facility, with a Cairns live seafood packaging facility for air freight distribution, floating ponds and sea-based cages where appropriate. The value of Australian exports of wild-caught and aquaculture production dropped recently due to a fall in the Australian dollar. The Australian aquaculture industry has an annual production worth over $2 billion and is growing at around 4% per annum and is the 5th most valuable rural industry. Australia's fishing zone is the world's 3rd largest with over 8 million square kilometres. As a precedent, Tassal, an Australian company, invested $64 million in their Proserpine facility to create a sustainable black prawn production of circa 4,000 tonnes per annum. Year 5 projections have an aim of a $64 million turnover, averaging $16 per kilo with a 4,000 tonne production. A projected $14.8 million earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortisation per annum, and a projected return on investment of between 8.2% and 12%. The cultural sensitivities are that the Indigenous Reference Group of the Fisheries Research Development Corporation recommended building Northern Australian aquaculture as a means for Indigenous economic development and independence. The Asian seafood market requires stringent quality control, as Asia demands healthy and quality seafood packaged for each jurisdiction, harvested and brought to market quickly with a limited shelf life, with the highest consumption occurring during the Asian Lunar New Year celebrations. Japan has historically enjoyed soft-shelled prawns which do not require shelling. Lobsters and prawns are consumed across the region. They require careful branding. Target production species include barramundi, banana prawns, sarabin, native prawns, painted crayfish and mud crab. A grow and release for capture of some of these species, as the area already has an abundant wild catch fisheries industry. The strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. SWOT analysis. Strengths. The demand for high quality live seafood, which is sold at a premium with an increasing seafood demand domestically and in the Asia Pacific region. Weaknesses. Aquaculture projects across the Northern Australian region may be limited by environmental considerations, infrastructure deficiencies, electricity, logistics, transport, a low skill base, fears for the biosecurity to wild stocks as well as extreme weather events. Capital raising requirements for around $64 million, excluding any land tenure. Development costs are much higher in remote areas, with environmental approvals required. Opportunities is to create a strong brand for an estimated production stream of around 4,000 tonnes of seafood sustainably with improved aquacultural science and remote monitoring from Cairns. The threats are increasing Australian prawn production may reduce the market value of the produce. Demand has been tempered by the outbreak of the pandemic, which also reduced access to air freight. Domestic demand has been affected by many food outlets closing during the pandemic. In conclusion, Australia can benefit from our proximity to the fast-growing Asian and Pacific markets, with demand created by global population growth and a rising middle class in the region, which is increasing the demand for quality fresh seafood. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities have expressed an interest in participating in aquaculture. The market continues to grow and is anticipated to return to a higher consumption as the pandemic recedes as an economic issue. The proposal is based on recent aquaculture developments in Northern Australia, including First Nation cooperatives. Thank you.